Hi everyone, I'm Little Bubs, and this is Bubs. And in case you can tell by the resemblance, we're father and son. Uh, we're both starting YouTube channels, and this is our little introductory video. Uh, so I thought it'd be fun to just do an interview with my dad to introduce everyone, basically. So to start with, as I mentioned, we're father and son. How long have you been married to mom, Dad?
51 years, 52 years,
52,
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been married 52 years, and you got 5 kids total. I'm the youngest one. And then, we play. Yeah, you got a bunch of grandkids, a bunch of great grands, and all that. And then, as you can see, as our family, we always grew up playing games, and a lot of that comes from him, but you can see the games in the background here. So that's something we like to do as a family, and that's something you might see on my channel down the line, maybe even on his, I don't know. But I thought we'd just kind of go over, we could sit here all day talking about things that you've done, but I thought we'd do just a quick overview of what you've done. So you were in the Air Force.
I was, yes.
And how long were you there?
I was in the Air Force 8 3/4 years. I was in the security police field and was held a master's position within security police, and I ended up, my last 4 years, I was at a SAC base, and I worked as a nuclear weapons site security supervisor, and I was a combat skills and terrorist threat instructor for our squadron and several other units.
Yeah, so quite a bit in a little 8 years there. And then after that, I think Mom wanted to move back home to be close to family, so you ended up finding your way to being a cop, right?
Well, I was, this is what I had been trained in, so I was looking for a good place to settle and have a career. And all of a sudden, one afternoon, I got a call from the local police department, and they said, "Do you want to be an officer still?" And I said, "Well, yes." They said, "If you can be here at the station in 15 minutes, you got a job." I was there in 9.
Wow, things have changed a bit, huh?
Just a bit, yeah.
So while you were a cop for 32, almost 33 years, right?
Yep, 32 3/4, as a matter of fact.
And you did a number of different things. I know for a while you were a hostage negotiator.
Yes, I was not hostage negotiator for the SWAT team for 22 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I know I've heard countless stories. That's something we may cover on your channel, is some of your stories, different things, but some of those might come up. And then I know you worked in homicide for a little bit, detective.
I spent 2 years in homicide. I worked robbery, ag assault, burglary. I spent 20 years working financial crimes and crimes against the elderly, which became my specialty. And I worked various other assignments. I did a lot of work on my own, off-duty time, teaching and training within the area about different crimes and how they happen and things like that.
Yeah. And I know during your time working on all that different stuff, there's a lot of things you obviously face as a cop that's kind of difficult to deal with. And I know one of the things you started doing was writing poetry, and also I think you do some short stories and stuff too. But and you even published some of your own work there for a while. But when did you really start writing poetry?
It was at the Challenger disaster. A lot of people wanted to say and show their support for the families of the Challenger crew, and so me and a lady in HR created about a 6-foot poster and we put it in the front offices for people to sign, and they did, and that was sent off to NASA. I don't know if they displayed it still or anything like that, but we made sure that it got there, and people told us they liked that.
So that was almost 40 years ago. So that was really when you started getting into writing, and that was kind of pretty early in your police career.
Well, as my career developed, I found that by writing poetry, it helped me to deal with the bad things that I had to see and deal with, because cops sometimes get into things that are just devastating and they're painful to think about. I still have several calls and cases that if you get me to talking about them, you're going to see me cry, because they are that painful to me.
Yeah, and I can see that just from what I've seen in some of your writings, which is something, the writing's going to come up for sure during this channel. We want to do some, evaluations of some of that. And speaking of that, I thought we'd just mention a quick one. So I know I mentioned earlier that you published some of your work at one point. You self-published it, and I remember one of your books was titled with a haiku.
Haiku.
Yeah, however you say it, and it was we'll just read. It's a quick one. Just recite it.
Bright red blood.
Hot gray concrete.
Hot gray concrete. No one cares.
Yeah. Bright red blood, hot gray concrete, no one cares. And that was actually the title of one of your books, and it was a haiku that you wrote. But what was really like, what was the story behind it? I think I know what it was, but what was the story behind that one?
At that time, I had already been writing some poems for the Parents of Murdered Children group in our town, and I sent a book or two off to their national headquarters. This one was written and published because I wanted to raise money for the victims' families of the BTK serial killer. I did work on that case a little bit. I think almost the entire department worked on it a little bit. But I made a book with about 8 or 9 poems in it, and we sold those for $15 a book to raise money to give to Parents of Murdered Children, to help the families and the family survivors have places to go, places to eat, sleep, and all of that. And we sold $1,500 in that particular operation, and we were pretty proud of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't even know all those details. So yeah, I just wanted to get on here and start this, just kind of a get to know you type of thing. So wanted to cover one of your poems, one of your quick ones. That's something else that we'll probably see on here. We'll do some more of that. You may see on my channel, you may see some like game stuff, game related stuff. You may see some just more real life interaction type things. Your channel will probably be more about the writing and just stories and whatever else comes up. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Well, I will tell you that the most painful poem that I have ever written is entitled Minty Wind. And it involves a case where 2 small children were electrocuted, and I had to go in and help the EMS crew and take the children to the hospital to be declared deceased. And it's one of those poems that no matter how many times I review it, it doesn't take away the pain of that what could I have done further? And I don't know that I could have done anything further, but it helps me to not lose my grasp when I'm talking about that particular poem.
Yeah, I remember that one, and we definitely will have to go over that one sometime, because I remember reading that like as a teenager. I still do it sometimes. I'll just come into your office and rummage through things. And even though like I've helped you move now and all this stuff, I still find things I didn't even know you had. But
so do I.
But I remember coming across that one years ago and reading it, and I just read it and was like, man, something. What is this about? You know. And I remember I asked you and you explained it. I was like, wow, that's
Well,
a deep one. That was
when
a tough one.
When Reagan died, I watched the funeral stuff on TV, and I observed that she looked like she just had immensely sad eyes. This was the love of her life, and I wrote a poem called Sad Eyes, and I sent it to her. And I figured that would be the end of it. But she wrote me back and said, no, we're putting it in the Reagan Library.
Oh, wow.
So I had the published poem there, and I published probably maybe 30 other poems that I actually published, and mostly because I'm not real good at the publishing end of it, you know. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really cool story too. Anyways, just wanted to keep this one pretty quick. I think we'll check off here, but we'll see you guys around. And once again, I'm Little Bubs, and this is Bubs. Oh, one real quick thing. The channel name, just call me Bubs. I wanted to say this real quick. So I kind of helped come up with that, but the reason is because I don't know how many times growing up you would be just randomly talking to somebody and you're like, hey, just call me Bubs. And it's just such a, I think a lot of times people kind of get thrown off by it, but it was fun story.
I have taught and trained in various things throughout the country. I've been on the West Coast, done it. I've been on the East Coast, done it. Been on the South place, Southern states. I've been up north, and somehow or another, somebody decided that my nickname should be Bubs, and there was a sign that showed up on my desk, and it was just that said 1-800-ASK-BUBS. And
I think I remember seeing that on your desk years ago.
Some of the other guys in the section said, well, that's demeaning. I said, no, I like that one. And so I used that and for all of my books and publishing. And I enjoyed it. And, I just have done so many things. It's hard to say, well, which did I do there and stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, I have written some stories, and you probably have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing some of that. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next time. Like and subscribe if you're interested. Thanks.